The Hawks lose the preseason opener 3-2 in Detroit. Cancel the season.
Yeah.
Hawks suck. Season over.
We're not doing this.
We'll wrap it up next on the CHGO Blackhawks postgame show.
We're done.
One down, 5 to go in the Blackhawks preseason as they lose 3-2 in Detroit to the Red Wings B team. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks podcast postgame show. I'm Jay Zawaski. That's Mario Tirabassi with his RC Cola.
I'm drinking my
Refreshing.
sorrows with RC Cola.
Well, I'm being discriminated against.
Not a soft drink, just me and my RC.
Yeah, no zero sugar, so I guess I'll just die.
I mean, you could drink the regular soda.
No, I can't. I will die.
Ah.
You could just eat bread.
I mean, what would you rather do? Watch this Hawks team again or drink regular RC Cola?
There's no doubt about that one.
Ooh.
Well, thanks for being with us, everybody. We appreciate it. Do us a favor. Hit that like button for us. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube page as well. If you're listening on the podcast, we love you. We thank you. Thanks for doing that. Leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app and all that good stuff. All right. Well, it's preseason. It was a 3-2 loss.
It felt like a preseason game.
But boy, when I was looking at this, the rosters for the Hawks and the Red Wings, I said, wow, the Red Wings really are not doing much for their fans with this one. And this is really the B squad. And that B squad took it to the Blackhawks for the better part of 60 minutes.
40 of the 60 minutes was dominated by this Red Wings team. And I would say, like, going into this game, I looked at the rosters and thought pretty comparable, but as far as what to expect. Blackhawks are playing a lot of the young guys. A lot of them are in NHL roster battles. Mm-hmm. But the Red Wings, I mean, they had a lot of their young players in there too. Shai Buium was in there. Michael Brancic-Nygaard was all over this game.
He was awesome.
Axel Sandin-Pellikka, like they had a lot of their young guys in there playing, and they played pretty well. But yeah, I mean, I expected this game to feel disjointed, sloppy.
Yeah,
like you look at the scrimmage game.
It looked a lot like that,
and it felt like, wow, these guys probably have not played a lot together in a 5-on-5 full speed setting, and it looked evident tonight. The first period, I will say, it gave you a lot to get excited about because that was the first period where the guys were fresh.
Yep.
They were humming. They controlled a lot of the play. So it gave you a glimpse of, like, when those players feel like they're at the top of their game, they're going to create chances. And I think if in a setting like this, where you can't take a lot of the big picture away from this game, you want to take away little things. And at least for me, a good little thing to take away is that when the team is clicking, they're going to be fast, and they're going to be exciting to play against. At least this collective of players, which they should be, because these were basically all of Kyle Davidson's picks, who he's tried to create a team that is fast, exciting, and hard to play against.
Speed is evident. And, I mean, look, Connor Bedard had a really solid game, scored a goal for the Hawks, also finished 1-7 and lost 3 faceoffs.
Not bad.
So 70% from the dot. And, you know, if it's preseason and we're going to freak out about the bad stuff, it's preseason. We got to point out the good stuff. I mean, Connor Bedard had a good game, looked fast, had a couple really solid back checks. I saw one, I go, was that Bedard back checking? Towards the end of the game.
Yeah.
Arvid Soderblom was great. But look, there are some things that need our attention here. And we have been waiting all summer for a preseason game to analyze, and we're not going to overanalyze it, but there's some things that need to be discussed. I think that, yesterday, I said very definitively that I thought Ethan Del Mastro had a significant lead in the battle for the last defenseman on his team spot. And I think he may have lost that today because he had 2 bad turnovers in the first period alone, several more as the game went on, some passes that were just to no one or 3 or 4 feet off the stick. And look, everybody's rusty. Everyone's probably a little bit jittery. First game, new coach, trying to make an impression. All those excuses are there, but the Red Wings were in the same boat, right? They're trying to earn spots, these young players. They're trying to make a first impression. They've got the pressure of playing at home, and they want to put on a show for the fans. So I don't want to just excuse everything as to, oh, it's just rusty, it's just rusty. You want to see these high-drafted guys perform and play well. And look, I think Artem Levchinov settled down as the game went on. Third period, I thought he was moving the puck very well, but a horrible read in the second period gives the Red Wings a breakaway. There were just lots of everything was off. Everything was off from the entire team. This is why you play the preseason. It's the first game these guys have played since April, so some rust is to be expected, but just something to keep an eye on as this goes forward because, look, we know these young guys are going to play, and there's going to be nights that look like this during the NHL season. So I don't know. I was disappointed, especially in Del Mastro tonight, because I feel like he had done a really good job throughout camp of like really solidifying a spot that I don't think that he was in the lead to take.
I'm not going to. Yeah, I'm not going to say any roster battles are over tonight because collectively as a group, the defensemen were underwhelming. I know Wyatt Kaiser scored. I know there were some decent moments from guys like Rinzel and yeah, Levchinov's play got a little bit better as the game went on, but Ethan Del Mastro didn't win an NHL job tonight. Kevin Korchinski didn't win an NHL job tonight. I think you look at how the defensemen played, and there was one thing that I'm going to attribute a lot of this game to is these guys are getting used to Blashill's system, and you saw it specifically on the power play or on the penalty kill rather, because I think what we saw tonight was a lot of young players who were trying to play fast, trying to make an impression, and thinking a lot. That's too much. That's too many things happening in young hockey players' minds at the same time.
Yeah.
And I think you threw the guys into the setting, and you're juiced up. It's the first preseason game. A lot of these, some of these guys, it might be the only preseason game they play, and I think you just kind of get it's a lot for those young guys to try and like handle all at the same time. Yeah. Some of them can do it, like Bedard. I feel like had a really solid game, but that's a guy who should not be rattled by a moment like this.
Right.
Frank Nazar had a lot of good moments in a game like this as well. He's not a guy that should be rattled by anything like that. But I think you look at like Reichel and Doc and Moore and almost pretty much all the defensemen.
Yeah.
None of them have a locked up spot. The defenseman that played tonight that had the most like locked up spot that I would say is Louis Crevier, because he's going to be like the seventh defenseman.
Yeah.
Rinzel and Levchinov have to like earn those NHL spots. You want them to earn it, but yeah, I think there was just like a lot of that going on tonight. And I hope as the preseason goes on and more of the NHL veterans start to get thrown into the lineup, a little bit of that aspect of all like the young guys, all of them trying to do a little bit too much, all of them doing a little bit too much thinking, that starts to kind of subside. The veterans go in there, they can be a little bit more of a calming presence in those settings, and then things start to kind of gel, and you start to see a more cohesive unit playing as we get to preseason's games 3, 4, 5, 6.
You also, I mean, you had a team first preseason game take 5 penalties, and I think probably 3 of them were like, okay, come on, like what are we calling here? But they call them, and that puts you on your heels. It takes Bedard off the ice. It takes your more offensive-minded players. It taxes your Sam Rinzells and your Levchinovs on the penalty kill, so when they do get the even strength, they're not quite as ready to engage. Like when the penalties started piling up is when the game started getting away from the Hawks. I mean, you could look 12:47 of the first, 18:40 of the first, 15:09 of the second, 19:20. Like they just spent so much time shorthanded that it was tough to get back into the thing and find their legs. Look, there's nothing to really freak out about today. There's not. And I can't tell if like the chat's being serious or sarcastic. I think we probably have a little bit of both.
About what?
Just the game in general.
Just
There's all
Well,
sorts of-
my favorite part about the chat is most people are telling everyone to calm down.
Yeah.
So I haven't actually seen too many freakouts that seem serious, and it's mostly just people telling other people to calm down, even though I don't even think anyone's being that overreaction.
I do enjoy our chat does a good job of policing itself.
Oh yeah.
When trolls come in, they usually get shot down pretty quickly. But yeah, so
For the large part, it's first preseason game. This is what you expected. A lot of people liked Bedard's play. A lot of people were impressed with, obviously, Soderblom just getting pelted with 40
and I think like
pucks.
Renzel had a fine game. He had moments of good and bad. I would say Levshinov had a bad game. Del Mastro had a bad game. But Nazar looked good. Bedard looked good. I thought Oliver Moore looked good, was making things happen. So I think it's just time to, once these like Vanackers and those kind of guys head back to junior, and you can get more of a focused NHL roster, and you'll have a little bit better impression of what's the actual team's going to look like. And someone in the chat said the biggest winner of this game is Matt Grzelcyk. And that really could be true because if none of these left side defensemen win a spot, and I don't think Korchinski or Del Mastro did anything to help their cause today, Matt Grzelcyk is right there.
Yeah.
And there's no long-term commitment to him. You sign him to a 1-year veteran minimum. And then as soon as you feel like they've had enough time in the minors, you call somebody up and you move on from Matt Grzelcyk. That's easy to do. So we'll see. Look, it's one game. Let's give it some time here. But I think for a lot of us, and I'll point to some of myself too, like we've all been anticipating this game for a long time. We all made plans to sit down and watch it, and we were all excited about the game coming. And then they lay an egg. They get outshot 43-17, and that's. If you told me that before the game, it's not what I would have predicted. Maybe I wouldn't have predicted a win, but this game should have been close in terms of the numbers and the chances and those sort of things. And, you could take away the all strengths thing because Detroit had so many power plays, but at 5-on-5, it's shot attempts are 37-18 for Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
Like you got to have more than 18 shot attempts in 60 minutes. That's not going to do it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean, the first period, if you're talking about 5-on-5 numbers, that first period, the Blackhawks had 5 high danger chances to the Red Wings 1. They had 2 high danger chances in the 2 periods after that, and not only at 5-on-5, but all situations. That first period, they had 7 scoring chances to Detroit's 2 at 5-on-5. The next period, Detroit had 12 5-on-5 scoring chances to the Hawks 1. In that second period, the Red Wings had more 5-on-5 scoring chances than the Blackhawks finished with 11. So you go into the more, analytics of the game, it widens your eyes to just how much the Blackhawks were chasing this game. The penalties don't help them. There was a point in the game where like Nazar and Levshinov and Kaiser, like they were out there for like 2 minutes and just getting worked in their own
shift.
zone. If Arvid Soderblom did not show up tonight in the fashion that he did, this game would have been way worse than 3-2, which is funny because if you at 6 o'clock were to come back from the future and say, and all you said was Bedard scored, Kaiser scores, they lose 3-2, I'd be like, all right,
yeah,
like okay, that's fine, I'll take that.
Yeah,
but it's the way it looked was like that was the rough part of it. But I hope it's only up from here as far as the preseason goes. And like we said, like this group is not going to be the NHL group. Parts of it will be.
Yeah.
But I think as preseason goes on, as the roster whittles down, as you get more time to work with Blashill's system and kind of you still get to learn. Now you get some actual video session of the system in practice in the game, rather than watching, last year's Tampa Bay Lightning or watching the old Detroit Red Wings when Blashill was the head coach. Like, you get to actually see your team in practice, and you can see, like, okay, you can go through video sessions and have tangible things to point out as good and bad and learn from it.
Well, we're going to hit the break zone. Let's get into those systems a little bit when we come back. I do want to talk about the penalty kill. I know we got into it quickly, but a little bit in more detail. I want to remind everybody, by the way, this is our Big Brothers Big Sisters month of giving here at CHGO and All-City. We want you to become a big. Do so today. BBBS.org/All-City. BBBS.org/All-City is the way to become a big. Go to that Get Involved tab for all the information you need. If we can convert 5 or 6 new bigs for Big Brothers Big Sisters of America, that's a huge win. So do it. Get the information. Reach out. We'll talk to you in 2 minutes on the other side of this break on CHGO Blackhawks. Whatever the sport, the app to bet is Circa Sports Illinois. Circa Sports is sports betting the way it should be. Circa Sports Illinois has high betting limits, low holds, and exceptional customer service. When we say it's sports betting the way it should be, that's what we're talking about. You can bet on all your favorite teams in every game this season. You want to bet preseason hockey? Okay.
Listen for the phone number.
Spreads, props, futures, or in-game, Circa Sports has it. You can fund and bet like a pro from anywhere, anytime in Illinois. We love the simplicity of the Circa Sports app. They've got everything you're looking for all the time. And as we tell you over and over and over again, their customer service is second to none. So here's what you need to do. Download your new bookie today at circasports.com. You must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Preseason hockey better? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Winter will be here before you know it. It's starting to cool down.
Bring it on.
You need to make sure your home's heating is up for the challenge. That's where our friends at Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric are there to help you. They've been serving the Chicagoland area for over 50 years. If you got a plumbing emergency, you call Four Seasons. You got an electrical emergency, you call Four Seasons. Need a new hot water tank installed today? Call Four Seasons. Right now is time to schedule your Four Seasons furnace tune-up. And if you're thinking about a whole home generator, Four Seasons has you covered. Save up to $4,000 on furnaces and comfort systems with Four Seasons heating, air conditioning, plumbing, and electric. Furnaces starting at $39 a month and furnace AC combos starting at $57 a month. Your trusted local experts are Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. Visit fourseasonsheatingcooling.com for all of their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's fourseasonsheatingcooling.com.
All right, we are back on CHGO Blackhawks. Do us a favor. We're very close to 100 likes. Hit that like button for us. We greatly appreciate that. We mentioned the penalty kill system, and I think that was really, if you want to kind of look at what this game was, that was a good representation of, it looks sort of like a penalty kill, but there's a lot of room for the shooters somehow up high and down low.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a lot of room, and I think there was some confusion out there. You saw some guys kind of looking around about where to be. The first goal, Renzel is at the net. He's got his guy defended, and then there's another Red Wing just right there alone. Yeah. And the closest guy is Ethan Del Mastro, who's on Renzel's side. And look, I don't know if it was his blown assignment or not. I'm not blaming him, but I'm just saying he's the closest guy. He tried to close that gap and was still 3-4 steps away once that puck went in. They just got to solidify things. And Jeff Blashill said yesterday at practice, basically, hey, it took the Tampa Bay Lightning a month to get used to my power play, right?
Penalty kill.
I'm sorry. And it started off rough, and then once they got used to it, it was one of the best in the league.
It was the best.
There is going to be a learning curve here for the Blackhawks and Jeff Blashill. So that's why I really want to kind of see, with a new coach, and you pretty much know your roster for the most part, it's a 6-game preseason. Whatever they want to do Saturday, fine. But I think Sunday and beyond, the last 4, it's got to be the guys either on the team or vying for a spot because, look, you're trying to not finish last this year. You're not trying to make the playoffs. You're not trying to win the cup. But I think getting this season off to a good start, at least a start that makes you feel like, okay, we're 500 after 10, or, hey, we won a couple games unexpectedly, or, oh, man, we just came up short and battled hard. You want good vibes. You don't want to immediately feel crushed to start the season. And I feel like that's what happened last year was – the preseason sucked. They were awful in the preseason. Yeah. But we said, they're veterans. They're only going at 60%. And once the puck drops in a regular season, they'll find that extra gear. And the vibes were off from the first week of the season, and they never really bounced back until after the trade deadline when all these young guys came up. I think with the implementation of a whole new system, basically a whole new coaching staff, you've got to get your veterans, you got to get your NHL team out there a little more often.
Yeah, and I think maybe what they could benefit from, they had one scrimmage yesterday, right? What they could benefit from is maybe more of those situations, being able to play more of 5-on-5 scenarios where you're implementing that system at what would be basically full game pace with the guys that you're expecting to play with. Like, I think that could potentially be something that they could do. And look, I'm not Jeff Blashill. I'm not Mike Pekka. I'm not Mike Vellucci. Like, this is just me spinning my wheels. But I think if we're looking to try and avoid how the season started last year, coming out of the preseason, like you were talking about, and what it could benefit from, I think, is more of that, like, okay, this group playing together, playing this system in game scenarios. I know that there is a lot of like drilling that can be done for what Blashill's trying to do, implementing, the systems individually, and they're going to do that. But I think what this first game could maybe show is, let's do a little bit more of simulated game scenario implementation rather than just drilling it and then saying, okay, now go out and do it in a game.
It's really easy to skate past Chris Kunitz, who's got to stick out just trying to create something for you to skate through. Right. Those drills are easy, and you can look sharp. You can look ready to go. Even in a scrimmage, you can look a little bit better. They didn't, but you can. You cannot simulate game situations. You can't. You simply cannot.
Right. You can't do it in like a 3-on-2 setting or a small ice setting.
No.
Like, those are all valuable. I'm not discrediting. I'm not discrediting how they practice. But what I'm saying is, like, I feel like now that you've kind of gone through a week and now a game under the system, now let's start drilling a little bit more of that in the system. And this isn't a junior high team where you're implementing a system and they've never played a system before. What do you mean?
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
I'm only used to just going out there and just freelancing and running around and whatever. Like, these are professionals, a lot of them. Or these are guys that have played high level college and junior. Like, a lot of the tactics and a lot of the X's and O's, they can understand you'd be able to understand it pretty quickly. So it's not like you're reinventing the wheel. So I would think being able to do that a little bit more in 5-on-5 scenarios would be beneficial. We'll see if they end up doing it. Who knows? But I mean, far be it from a guy like Nick Foligno to speak up and say, like, hey, we think we'd benefit from a practice like this, or maybe we need to do this. Like, he's a guy that I think can be a resource to Blashill and the staff for connecting and knowing what might work for this group, because he's been a guy that's been around for a few years.
Well, this, by the way, is Taking the 10, presented by your trusted local experts at Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. Visit fourseasonsheatingcooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's fourseasonsheatingcooling.com. I don't think that we are anywhere near a point where Nick Foligno needs to intervene with Jeff Blashill. Like, it's one preseason game in a roster full of kids in a brand new system. And I think your point, Mario, is correct about, yes, the X's and O's are not foreign to these guys. They've probably all played this system at some point in their hockey careers. But the other part of it is, you've got to learn to communicate with each other. You've got to start to learn the tendencies of your teammates. Sam Renzel and Ethan Del Mastro have been playing together for 3 days.
A week,
right?
Most,
They have not been on the ice a lot together. They're thrown out there for a game, and they've got to start to learn the tendencies of each other. And look, like Renzel had no time in Rockford, so he had no time to play with Ethan Del Mastro. So if Blashill sees those guys as the opening night tandem, then they should play together. If Renzel's in a preseason game, Del Mastro should be too. Those two together, playing together, because if that's the plan, the only way to truly learn your teammates and their tendencies is in game situations. Mm-hmm. You just can't simulate game speed, game intensity in practice because the stakes are lower, right? Like even if you're scrimmaging as hard as you can, even if you're doing your absolute best and communicating with your teammates and everything, even if that's the case, there's no stakes in if your team gives up a goal. Because you could always just sort of like chalk it up like, I took a risk there I wouldn't take in a game, right? Mm-hmm. You've got to let these guys play together, learn chemistry, learn their tendencies. Because look, there's a lot of turnover on this roster from last year with all these new players coming up. So I think you really got to get a consistent NHL ready lineup. Give the kids another look Saturday, and then let's start to strap it in and get ready for the regular season here.
Yeah, I think, and we were talking about it in the break, just kind of looking at some other rosters from around the league from games tonight. Montreal's, I think tonight was their third preseason game, and they had basically 70% of their NHL roster.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't NHL guys, it was guys that are probably on the cusp of NHL, AHL. So as we get to that point with the Blackhawks, game 3, game 4, and as the roster whittles down, you're going to finally get to those spots where it's just like, okay, these 30 guys are fighting for the NHL spots. And that's when you want the team to feel like they're getting it and they're starting to like not hit the ground running, but they're starting to get it and the pace is starting to pick up, because you want to be able to feel like you're already like ready to go, over-ripened basically in the preseason by the time you hit the ice on October 7th, because it's the Panthers. Like you can't you can't have a team that's just like, we're still trying to get there, because then you're going to get waxed 7-1
right
on that game. So I would hope that, and yes, people are saying like a lot of this roster, they're either going to go back to juniors, maybe as soon as tonight or tomorrow morning we'll get that announcement, or these are guys that are maybe a little bit further down the pecking order of the NHL roster battles. So it'll be like they'll go to Rockford, like a Miziak, like Aiden Thompson, like might be going to Rockford. Like I don't know. We know Dominic Toninado's probably going to be in Rockford. Joey Anderson probably going to be in Rockford. So there is. I think what we're talking about is more of the whole of the preseason, and this is the first taste of 6 games of it.
Sure, yeah. I did not want the full NHL squad out there tonight.
Yeah,
that would have been dumb.
But I think what we're trying to get ahead of is like, let's not let this game look like carry over to game 5 when you're playing 80% of an NHL roster. Because if you do get to that point, then you really start to worry about where things are going and what the regular season might look like.
We got a super chat from Lebowski. We want to make sure we get to. Thank you for that, my friend. $10 says, for the young defensemen this year, we have to realize that the Hawks will play 5 that are 23 and younger. Imagine if Keith and Seabrook only played with all 22-year-old kids instead of Alcoin and Spacek. Yeah, I mean that's true. And I think we're saying that. Like the rust, the stuff we saw from young defensemen. This is stuff as we've talked all summer. Looking ahead to this season, we said, look, we're all excited for these kids to play, but there's going to be massive lows. There's going to be massive highs, but you got to kind of ride that roller coaster and not be emotional after every single loss or every single bad Levchinov read. Levchinov is going to be that kind of a player. He is a risk taker. He plays with his pants on fire a little bit. Sometimes acts before he thinks. The job here of Jeff Blashill and his staff is to minimize those. You don't want to coach the aggression out of him, but you got to teach him the context of when it's the right time to do it and which is the correct way to turn, which we did not see today. But again, that's part of this process. Part of this process is going to be learning from mistakes. So I'm with you, Mario. Like, I think they have a pretty good idea already of the NHL roster.
Yeah, like we talked about, there's only like a collective 5 spots that you really say are up for grabs. So yeah, I think most of the roster is pretty much, you have a good idea of it, and pushing a vet out of a spot that they feel like pretty secure to start the preseason and to start training camp would require a young player to be shot out of a cannon and just dominate.
And haven't seen that in camp.
And, yeah,
see it tonight.
You haven't seen a guy do that yet.
I would say the only guy close to that is Oliver Moore, who might actually be part of the plans anyway.
I mean, speaking of shot out of a cannon, Oliver Moore.
Yeah. All right, we're going to hit the break zone one more time. Hit that like button. A lot of people watching. We really appreciate you being with us here for our first post-game show of the preseason. We're going to be for every game all year. The plan is during the regular season, we'll have pre-games for road games, full post-games for all 82. So we're here for you. So thanks for being here with us the first show. Hit that like button. Back in 2 minutes on CHGO Blackhawks. We got to be real for a second here. The world's gone soft. Soft drinks have recently, over the last 15 years or so, earned the name soft drinks.
Yes.
With your sparkling waters and your kombuchas and your spritzers and your... No. I miss old school cola, but not anymore because RC is still here. RC's been here since 1905. No trends, no gimmicks, no glow-ups, just great cola since 1905. They know what they're doing. It's bold. It's crisp. It's the same delicious flavor it's always been. RC Cola tastes like a punch in the thirst. Do yourself a favor. Grab some RC at your local store. Stock up for all your back-to-school parties, your football games, anything you're doing on the weekend. RC is the move for whatever you're doing. RC Cola is not a soft drink, just damn good cola.
It's good to drink while you're watching Blackhawks hockey.
Yes.
Bulls games, White Sox games.
Yes.
You can do all of that on the Chicago Sports Network. They're the official TV and streaming home of the aforementioned Blackhawks, Bulls, and White Sox, broadcasting over 300 live games per year. CHSN is offering the All Access plan, which gives you access to all the games and programming on the network at $29.99 a month, and the individual team plans that gives you access to the games and the team that you select, that is $19.99 a month. You can sign up to watch CHSN at chsn.com. You can watch via the CHSN app, which can be downloaded on Apple and Android devices, Amazon Fire TV, Roku, and Samsung TV. CHSN is also available on Xfinity, DirecTV, DirecTV Stream, and Fubo. Visit chsn.com for more details on all of those things that I just said. chsn.com.
All right. We are back on CHGO Blackhawks. I saw before the break, Sean, we had a little bit of a super chat that I want to make sure we get to. This from Jason. What do we think of Doc's game? Now, Doc, as we talked about the other day, getting a huge opportunity here to play in the top line. Mm-hmm. I think he looked a little bit tentative. I think he looked a little bit passive. He was far from the only one. But what I want to see from Colton Doc is balls to the wall, physical, crashing the net, like bowling ball on ice. Mm-hmm. I think that's how he's going to be the most effective. I don't need to see him enter the zone with the puck, look around, dump it calmly into the corner. Like, no, man. Dish the puck, go to the net, get in somebody's way, bump them off the puck. Like, those are the sort of things you want to see from Colton Doc, and I didn't see enough of it. He was in front of the net a bit, but I want to see a lot more of that from him. In fairness, they did not have the puck a lot, so the opportunities were not totally there.
Yeah, I think is one of the things when we're trying to evaluate the forwards of this game is that beyond the first period, which looked good. That was a good first period. They did not have the puck nearly enough to get a good sense of where a lot of the guys offensively were. Now you could also say, like, well, that's also part of the problem. you want your forwards to also help out defensively and retrieve pucks. Shouldn't all be on the defenseman. But yeah, I mean, I think from what we saw offensively from Doc's game, there were flashes. Jeff Blashill said today before the game about Colton Dach and said that you really get a sense of where he's at as a player more in games than you really can from him in practice. I think for the first game, I'm not going to say he went out there and ran away with the opportunity, but I don't think it was a bad game from him.
No, I wouldn't say bad.
And I think kind of a little bit similar to Tyler Bertuzzi, Colton Dach, I feel like can be more effective when you have a team that can possess the puck a little bit more, because then he gets a little bit more freedom to play off of it and offensively be around the net, cause a little bit more of havoc and still be like this is a guy that was a high scorer in junior, so he's got that ability. He's had pretty good point paces when he's been in Rockford. Like, he's a guy that can produce points. It's not going to be his bread and butter in the NHL, but it's something he can do as a secondary skill. But there were a few times where he was getting into scrums, and there was a moment in the game where he was on top of Sebastian Cossa, which was good to see.
Yeah,
that's what you want Colton Dach to do. You want him to be in there in the high danger area, in and around the net, and getting under the skin of opponents, and that's going to be kind of that edge that puts him over the top. So I think
it's something they need.
Yeah, in small bursts he was noticeable, but again, like outside of like Bedard, as far as the forwards group goes, there really wasn't a lot of sustained, consistent, like, oh yeah, that guy had a good game, that guy had a good game. It was a lot of like bursts of what you could see, and then a lot of like, well, they're just hemmed in their own zone.
Well, that leads us to another guy who I think deserves some attention. It's Lukas Reichel, and a guy who is in a prove-it year. I mean, Kyle Davidson flat out said it. He needs to show something this year, and I think he had a pretty decent first period, saw him crash the net. Bedard set him up for a really nice scoring chance in close that he wasn't able to convert. Another time, Bedard was behind the net and found Reichel kind of like just inside the right point, and it just hopped over his stick. But at least you have those moments in the game where you're like, okay, Reichel just had an opportunity to score. He didn't score. Last year, Lukas Reichel would play 12, 13, 14 minutes, and you'd forget he was on the ice. Getting to play in the top six today, had a couple scoring chances, and I think more good than bad from Reichel. But again, as the game went on, it was harder to find these offensive moments from the guys because they just never had the dang puck. I know you want to make a point about the defense, so let's do that, and then we're going to hear from Jeff Blashill here in a moment.
So going back to Lebowski's super chat where he was talking about the ages of the defensemen, Alex Vlasic is 24. He's the second oldest defenseman that's going to be in the NHL this year, unless they sign Matt Grzelcyk. Connor Murphy is 32. He's the elder statesman. He's the longest tenured Blackhawk, and I
8 years?
think, is he now the longest tenured Chicago athlete currently playing in Chicago? I think he is, because
I think that's true.
Someone either retired or was traded that was like ahead of him. I don't know, but Connor Murphy's been in Chicago for a long time.
This will be his ninth year.
His ninth season, yeah. So he's, NHL veteran established. He has the most games played of any active Blackhawks defenseman at 745. Matt Grzelcyk is not technically on the team under contract, so I'm not going to count him, but he has over 500 games played. The next most experienced Blackhawk is Alex Vlasic with his whopping 179 NHL games.
Ian Happ is the longest tenured Chicago athlete, I believe. He started in 2017, so technically before Murphy. Same year.
Spring of 17.
Spring of 17 compared to fall of 17 for Murphy.
Connor Murphy.
Yeah.
Alex Vlasic is the second most experienced defenseman that's going to play regular NHL time at 179 games. Nolan Allen, Louis Crevier, Ethan Del Mastro, Wyatt Kaiser, Kevin Korchinski, Artem Levshinov, Sam Renzel make up the rest of your defensive group. None of them have touched 100 games yet played.
No, not even close.
I go back to Chris Pronger's point that he made that, like, you really can't make a judgment call on a defenseman until about 300 games. Only one guy has 300 games or more on this defensive group. So there's going to be a lot of growing necessary and a lot of lesson learning to be necessary. So, tonight is a night where you say, hopefully this is the low bar of the preseason, and you build off of it and you take steps as you get through games 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we start to see a little bit more consistency and a little bit, less thinking, a little bit more instinctual, and a little bit more, I'm going to use this term early, but I want to set a tone. The defenseman, I think, had a low GAF meter tonight because there were passes that did not have the zip that you wanted to see, and there were a lot of times where, and it could be overthinking the system, overthinking positioning, there were a lot of times where it was like just the communication was bad.
Yeah.
The communication was off. Like guys were trying to, do a little dump pass behind the net off the boards, and a defenseman is just like, wait, why'd you pass it to me? Like,
right.
So I feel like just getting time together and getting more comfortable with the system, getting more time to just kind of think less, instinct more, it'll happen for these guys.
I hope so. I don't know if I want to say it was a GAF matter, as much as I think what you said is lack of communication, lack of predictability from your teammates.
I just want to see more urgency in those situations.
Yeah, everything was kind of I think just as a whole, the game felt tentative. The whole approach from the Hawks felt tentative.
Yeah.
Like, don't make a mistake. And whenever you play that way, you are going to make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
It is inevitable because you're
going to get tripled up in shots.
Yeah, and you're just looking around for what am I supposed to do? Trust your damn instincts. You're in the NHL for a reason. Sure, you might make a bad decision here and there, right? Like, that was costly. I shouldn't have, I should have just dumped that one in instead of carried it or whatever it might be. Fine, but just like thinking. This is what we saw from Kirby Dach his entire time in Chicago. You could see him thinking on the ice. Mm-hmm. And by the time he made the decision, the defender was already on him, taking the puck the other way. Like, that's just, you can't survive that way. Mm-hmm. Crisp, move the puck quick up the ice. If in doubt, dump it in, live to fight another day. But this, like, skating and then slowing down and, like, looking around, no, everything's got to be, and this is what we said about Blashill's practices from day one is how quick and urgent and fast-paced everything was, and it was not there in the first preseason game. So, again, it's the first preseason game. Speaking of Jeff Blashill, why don't we hear from the Blackhawks' new head coach? He talked to the media after the game, this courtesy of the Chicago Blackhawks.
Overall thoughts on the game?
Obviously they played better than us. I just thought, a lot of stuff, we threw a lot of stuff at our guys here this week, combination of a lot of hard work. So I didn't think we quite had our legs, but also just, everything's kind of new. Systems are new, and we played like we were thinking, and when you think a lot, you kind of play slow. And so they beat us to, pretty much every loose puck, every chance to outnumber us. They kind of won that. And again, for me, and then when you do that, you just end up defending, and then you change. And so I just thought in the end, it didn't surprise me. I knew we were going to be, our legs were going to be tired, and that we, certainly our systems aren't natural yet, but I'm okay with that. That's why we're putting the work in.
Arvid made 40 saves tonight. Thoughts on his first action under you?
Not just 40 saves, but some really, really good saves. I thought he played excellent, and certainly the game could have got definitely one-sided if it wasn't for that. So great job for him. He's looked solid in camp. All our goalies have looked really good in camp, so that's a real positive.
Connor got the power play goal. Maybe just your thoughts on the power play tonight.
Obviously it was a good play, get it over to him, and he can shoot it for sure. But I thought Connor played well. I thought Connor deserved, usually in the first period, and then on that power play, and then we just didn't have the puck enough for him to showcase his stuff. But he looks like he's in a good spot. I thought he did have legs early, so credit to him and the work that he put in this summer.
And then thoughts on Wyatt's goal, jumping up in the rush, and Aiden finding him coming in as the trailer.
Yeah, no, it was good. I think that was probably one of the few times in the game where we won a battle, and then I thought Artie did a good job skating the puck up the ice. We headmanned it. Great talk by Wyatt. He's one of the guys that talks a lot out there. So, and then we had a screen. So all that'll be a clip we'll show as a real positive.
Nothing delights me more than the coach saying what I just said before we went to the video of the coach.
Essentially everything we said. I mean, I think Jeff was listening to the show.
Well,
he's a big fan of our breakdowns.
He really
of the
is.
game, yeah.
But Sean can attest to that. We did not preview Jeff Blashill before we played the audio.
No, and Jay screamed like a giddy little girl. And I mean, truly, I think it's in the first 5 seconds. We just played again.
Well, you know what though, and he's
You know, obviously they played better than us. I just thought, you know, a lot of stuff. We've threw a lot of stuff at our guys here this week. Combination of a lot of hard work. So I didn't think we quite had our legs, but also just, you know, everything's kind of new. Systems are new, and we played like we were thinking. And when you think a lot, you kind of play slow. And so
there you have it.
Played like they were thinking.
There you have it.
Yeah.
Nice little dig there though. When asked about the Kaiser goal, he goes, "That's one of the few battles we won tonight."
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you get outshot 43-7,
Yeah.
and you get hemmed in your zone for a minute and a half at a time, you're losing battles. So it's one thing, and I go back again to that first period. There were at least 3 chances created, offensively and in transition, from just the Blackhawks being faster.
Yeah.
They were just faster than the Red Wings. It was just getting to the puck first, but then they just lost it. And as Blashill said, and in his post game, like, he knew that they were going to be tired. He knew that they were going to be slow. And sure, that's one thing that you can chalk it up to, and how they've practiced intensely. They've gotten a lot of conditioning work done. They did a scrimmage yesterday. They skated this morning in Chicago, then took the 45-minute flight to Detroit and then play the game. Like, it's not a normal schedule.
Right. I don't
love
that either.
Well, they're not going to go to Detroit this morning and then skate and then play at 6.
I know.
Like, I don't think that would have been the way to. Whatever. It's
Nothing
preseason
saps your
game
legs
1.
like a flight.
Yeah, even if it is only 45 minutes.
Right.
But I think like the battling that they were doing in the first period, again, that is what I think you can look to and say, like, that is the hope that first period can be more of the norm than the final 40 minutes.
Yeah, Sean?
Well, I just wanted to add, as experienced flyers, you'd hope they'd know the trick of taking your shoes off and making knuckles with your feet.
We'll have to ask him.
That's the thing from Die Hard.
Yeah, we'll ask him.
You guys were alive for that movie, and I'm getting you guys with references.
No, I know what the
I've
reference is. I'm just saying we got to ask
Mario
Hawks about
said
it.
what?
I've seen it in full one time.
Boo.
So, sorry.
Lebowski 5 also noticed that Blashill said Wyatt's one of the few guys that talks out there. That's going to be another thing, especially with Levchinov. With the language barrier, that is a real thing, and he's a quiet guy. These guys have to talk to each other. They have to. They've got to be vocal on the ice. They've got to be. I mean, just think. I hate to keep going back to the dynasty, but it's what we all reference. You could hear that high-pitched Brent Seabrook the whole game. The whole game, you could hear him. You could hear him coaching on the ice the entire time. Communication has to be there. Now, just from being at practice, Vlasic is vocal. Murphy is vocal. Kaiser's vocal.
Mm-hmm.
So now we got to find out what the others are going to be and see how they are. But that's a huge part of it is telling a guy, ring it around the boards, ring it hard, on your left, on your right, high, low, like all the things you have to communicate, because they can only see what's right in front of them. They don't know what's behind them. There's got to be communication. So these are all coachable things. These are all things that that you'll learn that these young players will have to develop over their careers, and it's going to be part of the growing pains of this season. There's going to be games like this, even with the full NHL roster, simply because the defense is so inexperienced.
And it's a comfortability thing too, with the being vocal, because I think there is a lot of, when you're a younger player, when you're a less NHL experienced player, you want to feel like you're not overstepping your bounds. You want to feel like you're not, you're not telling a guy who's played 700 games like Connor Murphy, "Hey, idiot, I'm over here." Like you don't want it to come off that way,
right,
when you're a young guy. But I think it's going to be more beneficial to these guys to kind of get over that, because as we just went through the games played thing, there's one veteran on this team.
Right. Even
though Alex Vlasic seems like he's been here for 5 years, he's still not a quote unquote veteran.
He's also not a very loud.
NHL.
He's just kind of a soft spoken guy too. just generally.
I mean, if Alex Vlasic is yelling on the ice, he has that deep voice.
Yeah.
So like when he can, that was my Alex Vlasic impression,
good.
by the way. Yeah, I think that was spot on.
I thought he was actually in here for a second.
Just I was taller. But I mean, if he's boisterous and like that would be a voice that you wouldn't miss on the ice. But yeah, I think it's just comes down to being comfortable. And the other thing too, with defensemen being vocal, if you're going to be vocal, you want to be right in what you're saying.
Right. Yep.
So I think a lot of getting down the system and getting down the positioning and getting down like what is expected in different scenarios when it comes to being vocal and talking about like, hey, I'm going here, you're going there kind of thing. You want to be right in that, because if you're super vocal and you're wrong, you're going to put yourself in someone
over
else
here. No, wait, no,
out of
don't.
position. Yeah. Or you're going to cause confusion. Yeah.
Right. All right. We're going to do a new segment this year. We're going to give out game pucks, and we're each going to choose one every game, and then you're going to vote on who actually gets awarded the CHGO Blackhawks game puck every game. So the poll is now live on our YouTube page. We'll reveal the winner at the end of the show. Mario, who gets your game puck tonight?
My game puck is going to the guy that kept this game way closer than it should have been. Arvid Soderblom, 40 saves on 43 shots faced in the first preseason game.
He's clenching his toes in a plane.
He sure was. When Jeff Blashill today at the morning skate said that that they were like, no, we're gonna go with Sodi for the full game, I quickly, before he looked at me, raised my eyebrows. I was like, oh, that's interesting, because I fully expected it to be like, no, maybe 2 periods for Soderblom, third period will be Kameza, but he gave him the full game, and okay, cool. And he got a full game's worth of work and then some. So yeah, I'm going with Arvid Soderblom. If he didn't play the way he did tonight, this game would have been 6-2. I'm
giving mine to Connor Bedard. Yes, the goal was glorious. He did have a turnover late in the game that led to a goal, but he won 70% of his faceoffs, and it's one game, and you don't want to pull too much away from one game, but he looked faster, and he was winning faceoffs. The two things that everyone agreed Connor Bedard had to get better at this summer. Yeah. He put in the work, so he gets my game puck for preseason game 1 with the goal, with the improvement of the faceoff dot, and overall just being more engaged in the defensive end, back checking on a few things. Again, had a turnover that led to a goal, but way more positive than negative from Connor Bedard tonight. So get your vote in, and we will reveal the winner. It's not something we're going to score or whatever during the year, but maybe once the season gets rolling, we'll have a post-game graphic, put it out, winner of the puck, those sort of things. We've seen our sales staff to sell it.
It's open for your sponsorship.
That's right. Put the pressure on the sales
Potential
staff.
Sponsors?
Right now.
Could be you.
Exactly.
Who are you looking forward to seeing that didn't play tonight? Looking at the non-game group roster.
Yeah.
Next game's not until Saturday, so we got some time to figure that out.
Sean.
Oh,
chat's also just been wondering who's going to be the goalie. You guys brought up Kameza.
Yeah, we don't know yet.
Is Kameza going to be the
we
goalie?
We don't know yet.
People wonder when Knight can make his debut.
Were the goalies tonight dressed? Maybe they give Kameza the actual start next game. We'll see. But yeah, Berezhnoy and Knight were in the non-game group today, so maybe they're set up to play the next game. I mean, you could give it to Spencer Knight.
Sure.
You gave it to Soderblom the first start.
Yeah,
You
why not?
Might as well give it to Spencer Knight. Give yourself the best.
Let him feel some pucks.
Best chance to win. Yeah. Non-game group today was Murphy, Donato, Dickinson, Foligno, Burkowski, Knight and Brezhnoy, Allen, Harding, Grzelcyk, Holmes, Mast, Bertuzzi, Cates, Bame, Miziak, Vlasic, Lardis, Weeks, Perrott, Ludwinski, Hayes, Kuzmin, Mikheyev.
Lardis is who I'm most excited to see. 71 goals is nothing to sneeze at. Mm-hmm. And we talked about the other show where I feel like he should start in Rockford. I feel like he will start in Rockford, but I feel like he is farther along than I expected him to be at this point in camp. I thought he was going to kind of look like Lucas Reichel 2.0. And I think that he has kind of quickly figured out, at least based on practice and scrimmage, the things he can get away with and the things he can't.
He's gonna figure out more of it, I think, for sure. He's a guy that likes to have a little bit of that flash in his game. I think, some of the drop passes and stuff like that. When we talk about like get the junior out of a player, it's stuff like that. And stuff we saw tonight too from a lot of guys. Like, you're not going to sauce passes through 4 defenders from one side of the boards to the other. Like,
someone tried that. I think it might have been more.
Yeah, it's stuff like that. Like, because people have said, like, what do you mean by get the? It's things like that. Things that you can get away with when it's a bunch of 17-year-olds playing on the ice, and some of them are vastly superior in talent than the others. But when you get to the NHL, it's all of those guys who were vastly superior at 17 years old that are now playing as full-grown men. So the game and what you can get away with changes.
Super chat here from, I hope I say this right, Kaimach Hockey Training, $2, says, great pod, keep up the great work, miss Greg. Well, Greg will be here for every home game, post-game show, and, he's always in here filling in and stuff like that. We miss Greg, too. We are working our hardest to get Greg on here as often as we can, but if you'd like to support Greg, you could read his stuff at Blackhawk Up.
Yeah. It's been fun having... It's been so much fun just being back into now practices and games and just getting back into what this job really can be. And it's great to see everybody at the rink, to be able to hang out with Greg as much as possible. Love that.
The White Sox play actual games, and we usually get about 17 live viewers. You guys have 365 for a preseason game.
That's great.
Boy, am I jealous.
That's great.
Yeah, well, get Connor Bedard. That's all you got to do.
People are excited.
Montgomery, it's the same thing. He hit a moonshot today. I saw that.
He did, and still, the White Sox postgame show is getting canceled for preseason hockey. But that's not a negative. It's just kind of talking more about how many great people are in here.
Hey, play the hits.
Hey, come on.
Play the hits.
Those Montgomery went deep.
That's the universal Mitch Rosen voice.
Come on, get
Just
in.
as everyone who works at SNL has a Lorne Michaels impression.
Drawn out Lorne.
Everyone who works at the Score has a Mitch impression.
It's all the same one.
Come on, over communicate. Let's go.
It's just yours or who started doing that? The high pitched one.
I think we all just started doing it.
It's just his voice.
I think it just kind of became its own thing, and we just do it now. So yes, everyone who ever worked at the Score has a Mitch Rosen. I'm sure it fascinates everyone in the audience. That's why we have these big audiences, Sean, for the Mitch Rosen impression.
I only had one phone call with him, and he didn't sound like that. So
was he?
I'm glad. I'm glad I brought that conversation to a screeching halt.
What'd you interview for?
Probably your job.
Nice.
a few years ago. Didn't get it. But anyways.
Yeah.
Good.
All right. I got to say.
Can I just say I'm excited to watch Nolan Allen when he gets into preseason action, based off of the fact that, like we said earlier, I don't think any of the defensemen really looked great tonight. So he's probably looking at it like, ooh, I might be able to have a good game and maybe leapfrog somebody.
Yeah, chomping at the bit to get in there, man. This is his chance. I saw a lot of people in chat like, why didn't so-and-so play? Well, there's 52 guys on the roster right now.
And there's 6
You can't
preseason
play
games
everyone.
To play. Yeah.
It's okay. God, 6 games is way too many.
They'll get in there. Well, it'll be 4 next year. But 84 regular season games. Ooh.
Hey, that's great. We should get a 2-game raise.
We should.
We'll put in our next contracts.
Yeah. If you sponsor all our segments.
That's a great way to get Greg back.
Yeah.
To sponsor
if
everything.
you really miss Greg, let's
put your money where your mouth is, jerks.
Yeah, come on.
Looking at you, Hockey Barn. There, I said it out loud. Out loud. It's out there in the open.
And they're in the chat.
Yes, they are. That's why I said it. All right, Sean, do we have a winner in the game puck sweepstakes?
The raffle.
No, that's not. Oh, I thought that was going to be a round of applause.
That was a round of applause.
That's a round of applause.
Yeah, but I thought it was going to be more of I don't know. Anyway,
that's a
our
very
live studio audience is only so big, Sean.
This is what I need. Arvid Soderblom, 79% on 84 votes.
That makes sense.
I'm not going to do that math, but it's a majority.
That's a
large majority.
That's a definitive win by Arvid Soderblom, and he deserves it. Truthfully,
Yep.
he earned it. Congrats for getting the first game puck. Now, what we need to do is order
Your puck is in the mail.
82 CHGO pucks and deliver them to the players
Should we
every
sign
practice.
them and
Yeah, and they'll
deliver
just
them
look at
to
us like, what is this?
They'll throw it back on the ice up.
Exactly.
Where'd
And then
this
fire
come
it at a
from?
reporter at some point.
Yeah.
All right, tomorrow we are off. No show Wednesday. We're back
Blackhawks.
Thursday.
Also off.
Hawks also off tomorrow, so you won't be missing anything. Thursday show after practice. Friday's another off day, so we can work Saturday and Sunday post-game shows. So we'll talk to you Thursday at 2. Hit that like button on your way out. Tell a friend. We'll see you then Thursday, 2 o'clock, right here on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.